Quit your business, quit that job, quit the gym, don't quit university though. Let me explain. So as someone who has quit jobs before, terminated their business, dropped out of university, got divorced, I know a thing or two about quitting. Today I wanted to reevaluate with you guys when I still think it was a good decision to quit and what is a good reason for quitting, and other times where I'm like, that was probably a bad reason. We kind of all glorify the idea of never quitting. Whatever it takes, just keep going, push through and take it to the end. Whatever it takes. But sometimes I would argue it is a little bit dangerous and it could be the worst thing that we do to ourselves. When last week my sister and I posted on LinkedIn that we finally are dissolving our company, it really got me thinking. The decision happened 3 years ago. At that time we had already worked on our business for 7 years and had major successes. It took us all around the world. We looked from the outside as if we were doing great. At the same time, we found ourselves in a situation that was so unhealthy that now, in retrospect, to take the decision to quit feels like a major gain for myself, for my health, for my relationships, and just for my life in general. So let's talk about some reasons to be a quitter. First, I want to talk about some bad reasons. You don't see the results quick enough and you just, even though you put in all the hard work, you want to see the things happen quicker, which in my eyes is the worst reason for you to quit. And if we're gonna be honest, being impatient to see results usually has to do something with worrying about what other people will say. You need to reevaluate, because honestly, it should not matter what other people are saying. If you are working towards your purpose, that's all that you should care about. So yeah, quitting if you don't see results yet is a bad reason to quit. Another bad reason is a tough streak. When things are getting hard, a little bit complicated, just a little bit uncomfortable, maybe very uncomfortable, but you know that this is just a tough streak and a phase and you will overcome it. Maybe if you have some helping hands, if you spend more money or delegate a little more and let go of control, which is mostly also uncomfortable for new entrepreneurs, you can go through this. So this is not a good reason enough to quit. Going through tough phases and handling them well will build resilience, will make you feel prouder, and you will stretch your limitations. Stretching your limitations is such a major gain. It's great to have tough phases. For me in motherhood, I see it whenever there is a tough phase and I handle it well. I'm like, okay, I know that I can handle things. Tough phases, not a good reason to quit. Now let's come to the good reasons. I would put it like this: when the immediate continuance poses great risk. Let me give you an example. In 2018, I injured my right shoulder lifting weights and it got really bad. In the beginning I had some pain and I just ignored it, and then I was on a trip to Berlin with my sister. We were receiving an award and I knew I had to shake some hands, and I literally at that point I could not lift my hand like higher up than this. Like my whole arm was so stiff and it just was excruciating pain. Went to the hospital and then they were like, you have to see a sports doctor. I went to see a sports doctor and he told me I have to immediately stop working out altogether. He told me if this doesn't get better only by pausing and then starting with some simple stretches, you will need to have surgery. Now imagine if I would have said, no, I'm not a quitter. That sounds just stupid. Now, the risk of having a surgery is obviously far greater than losing out on some gains. So these are the questions that I always ask myself to evaluate whether or not I keep going into the same direction or if I should change directions and quit whatever I was doing. Is this a tough phase for the short term only? Will continuing still benefit me in the long term? And can I make it better by giving up some control, delegating some tasks, investing money? Or is continuing what I'm doing harmful to myself and maybe even others? And the only way to eliminate this harm is to stop immediately, altogether. Let's talk about university for a second, because I mentioned it before. I regret dropping out, 100%. Because I think there is one time that you can go to university in peace. I think it would have been a smarter way to just take less time into the startup and more time into university, just be done with it and then go ahead. Not taking investors on while I was still studying and all these things. Now in retrospect, I can definitely say whoever is watching this thinking they should quit university because it's getting tough with their side hustle, stick to university. It's just a tough phase. You will be proud of yourself finishing it and then it's just done, and then you can keep on moving to the next part. Business. Having a business is a great commitment. The way our business was set up was so unhealthy, so unattainable, even while spending more money and while delegating more tasks and while getting a bigger crew. When I made the decision to leave, it was really clear that in this way it was impossible to keep going. Sometimes sleeping 4 hours and then working for the rest of the 20 hours, literally just sitting in front of the desk. And I'm now so grateful to have had the bravery even to make a decision like this. Now to the last part. Divorce is such a, I don't know, it's such a loud, rough word, when in reality it is sometimes the greatest act of self-love. Something that is not easy to do at all. It might seem heartless, and it definitely isn't. It just shows that you value your own heart and you value your own peace. There has to be an all-over motivation for change, and if you don't see that this can happen and the situation is getting super unhealthy for yourself and your kids, then quitting is definitely the right answer. And quitting earlier is better than quitting later. So for that, I'm super grateful. Now it's been a year, and yeah, it was a great decision. So yeah, I made this video entirely just to give you some insight about how I think, maybe some guidance. I found out that ChatGPT, the chatbot from OpenAI, can write scripts for YouTube videos. I would let AI write the script for video with the same premise like this one and make another video that an AI wrote. That would be interesting. Let's see. It's so similar. It's crazy.